What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Say What? Barstool Parlay. As always, I'm your host, Austin Froberg. Raw takes, no apologies. And click like, click subscribe. Big red button right there in the bottom. It's really easy. Just click it. Help us share content, social media, whatever you guys like the video, share it. So we can keep making cool videos and grow the channel and keep making it better for you guys. More viewers, more subscribers. The goal is to start doing live videos where you guys can actually ask questions and it can actually be a live parlay back and forth with you guys. So keep helping us grow the channel so we can make that a reality. Anyway, we got a good show in store for you guys tonight. Man, a lot of stuff going on. Start 2020. It's been wild, guys. Or start 2021. I mean, my bad. Whew. Whiskey already getting to me, I guess. But yeah, guys, what we're gonna go over today is the Capitol riot that just happened, and what the heck's going on with that? What was actually happening in that whole scenario? And there's actually a lot to get into when we talk about this. The first thing that I want to go over with the Capitol riot before we get any further into this stuff is the fact that people were rioting and actually broke in and stormed the Capitol is just nonsense. It's completely foolishness. And the fact that anybody would support what happened or think it's okay is just ignorant. Now, the problem with a lot of the stories going around about it are, one, the facts are all screwed up. Two, it's hilarious how quick all the politicians changed their stances on rioting and really what actually sparked this. And if you guys really want to get into this, I know I'm already going to get blasted in the comments. Like I said, raw takes, no apologies. I don't care. All right. The facts are this happened not strictly because of this, but it set a precedent. Black Lives Matter and all those riots and Antifa and everything that's been going on in 2020 and this whole election cycle set a precedent of the fact that you can go in, you can destruct property, you can fuck everything up, and it's totally fine. Totally okay. No problem. Because that's apparently, in today's standards, that's a peaceful protest, and that's totally fine. You can burn businesses to the ground. You can overthrow an entire government like Portland. It was a complete anarchist state for almost a month. The fact that that was supported and okay was so mind-numbing and so stupid. It was, as we talked about some of the other videos, guys, which you have me watch election videos and other stuff, we talk about it, check them out, they're good. It's the fact that the left has always spewed this, racial injustice and all this stuff, but they only talk about it during an election cycle. And my buddy Dave brought up a good comment, which we talked about in some of the other videos, which is all these police shootings and this and that, and I'm not going to get too much into the actual shootings themselves because they're different on a case-by-case basis. But the point that I'm trying to make is when you look at these shootings, name an unarmed black person or an unarmed minority that was shot and killed and made national news in 2017, 2018, or 2019. Give me one name, just one. There are none. It was silent for 4 years. The civil unrest, silent. Black Lives Matter, 2016, what is that, election year? Came back around full circle, we had the riots, all of a sudden there's a shooting every week, 2020, election year. The left literally does this to divide the country, divide races, make it an issue, and try to pull the minority vote because, sorry, hate to tell you guys, but Democrats aren't a very popular party, and without the minority vote, they can't win. They can't win. So they do it every year to get enough votes to even have a chance of winning an election. Well, because they did that in 2020 and they let it get to the extreme of not peaceful protest, riots. You guys want to talk about Black Lives Matter or anything else? It's not about the issues. It's not about what they're supporting or what they're fighting for. That's not the point in this. The point is you want to follow a template, you want to follow a structure to actually get things done with protests. How about Martin Luther King? Think Martin Luther King would support Black Lives Matter? No, he wouldn't. Martin Luther King had the Million Man March. Pretty simple, pretty peaceful, and it accomplished more than anything Black Lives Matter has done. They've never got a bill passed, they never got law changed, they never had regulations put on law enforcement, nothing. They've achieved nothing the entire time they've existed. Martin Luther King, yeah, he worked for years, did things, but one march, peaceful, no riots, no brutality, changed our entire racial structure as a country. You want to follow a template? There it is. And the fact that now that has been set as a precedent of riots and violence and all that's okay, that's what you see in the Capitol. That's what just happened. Was you're looking at all these riots, you're looking at all this stuff going on, and people on the right or these other supporters say, hey, they can do it. The left can do it. The minorities can do it. Black Lives Matter can do it. Why can't we do it? What's wrong with us? Hey, we're doing it for whatever. For whatever. We're going to do it for whatever. Politics, presidential candidate, we're going to do it for whatever our purposes are. Governmental change, and that's supposed to be okay, according to what we've seen all through 2020. And like I said, and I'm not comparing issues, I'm not comparing the severity of problems. That's not what this is about. It's really not. What this is about is the fact that when you set that precedent of violence in protests and violence in general is okay, you get results. Like we saw in the Capitol early last week. That's what you get. That's the type of stuff. That's the dangerous precedents that you set because of things like this. That's what happens. And like I said, I don't want to get too much into the riot itself because the riot itself doesn't even deserve to really be talked about. Because unlike people, I don't support, like I said, guys, I'm independent. I don't support breaking into the Capitol with weapons. There's 52 unregistered weapons confiscated and 4 pipe bombs. I don't believe that that's right. I don't believe that that should be even dignified with being talked about. That's domestic terrorism. That's what it is. Now, and that goes for Black Lives Matter riots, Antifa riots we saw in the Capitol, and that's both sides now. That's both political parties. I don't agree with either one of them because I don't think violence in a protest is the way to get it done. And Martin Luther King showed us that. Like I said, want to get something done, be peaceful. Don't create new enemies. Want to get something done? You have to split the party line. You have to be bipartisan. And violence is not a way to be bipartisan because whatever side is opposite to violence is going to be pissed off. Now, the reason that I want to talk about these riots, because to me, the funniest thing is, like we said, that precedent that was set and everybody supporting that these riots, all that, it's okay. It's fine. Funny how quick that shit changed, didn't it? When those people broke into the Capitol and started doing what we saw nationwide in 2020, when they did it in their house, when they did it on their furniture, when they did it on their front doorstep, funny how all the opinions changed. Now, domestic terrorism, this is unconstitutional, this is blah, blah. They got President Trump up for impeachment trials right now because they said he provoked this domestic terrorism. It's hilarious how quick the things have changed. All we heard was support for the Black Lives Matter movement because nobody wanted to bash them because of the issue that they're supporting. And yeah, it's a good issue. Granted, I think police brutality is a national issue. It's not strict to one race or anything else. Police brutality is a problem in general. Because, sorry, hard fact, more whites are killed by police every year than blacks and other minorities. Sorry, it's a fact. It's not just an African American issue. It's not just a minority issue. It's a population issue. Police are not well trained. They're a lot of them are too jumpy. They're too this. They're too that. We need changes in law enforcement in general. But because nobody wanted to spark and sound racist or anything else, nobody said anything about those riots. Because when all your local businesses got burned down and your property got destroyed, the government doesn't care about us, guys. We all know that. And when it was you, the people, they didn't care. They just wanted to be on the right side of the politics. Well, when being on the right side of the politics came to their front door, all of a sudden it was domestic terrorism. All of a sudden, they were scared for their lives. They weren't the business owner hiding in the back of their shop while somebody broke into it and burned it down. They didn't care about that guy. They didn't care about you and your business. They didn't care about you and your property. But when it was them and their property and their lives and their safety, oh, it changed. And that's the problem, guys. Everybody's worried about themselves. Everybody's worried about their own well-being. And Lord, it changed. When they were in the middle of those crosshairs, when they were in the middle of the firefight, whoo, it changed. And that's what I want to talk about, guys, is the simple fact that the government doesn't care about us. The government set this precedent with these riots throughout 2020. And then when they got rioted on their front doorstep, all of a sudden they totally switched, which tells you what they thought in the first place. They never thought it was right in the first place. They never supported it in the first place. But nobody had the balls to do the right thing and just say, hey, you want to protest like Martin Luther King for a cause, a just cause? Fine. Absolutely. That's everybody's right. And that's what everybody should do. And if those protesters at the Capitol wanted to do that and stand out there quietly with their flags and shout and scream and protest, that's our right as American citizens. It's in the Constitution, and we should exercise that stuff, and we should do things like that to try to cause change for whatever your cause is. I mean, unless your cause is you're trying to start a Nazi army, I mean, do you have a just cause like we talked about in our election video, guys, talking about what's going on with the election and how we all deserve answers? Because the problem is it's not about who won. It's not about any of that. It's about setting, like we're talking about here, the right precedent moving forward. Because if we have signed affidavits of people saying they're driving ballots across state lines to flip states, and we have videos of people throwing ballots out and we're finding ballots in the trash, and we don't investigate, we don't even want to touch it because it's too hot of an issue and we want to be on the right side of politics, just like the riots, we set a dangerous precedent. And then when it comes full circle, all of a sudden we don't like the results. That's why it's not okay to set these precedents. And it's just hilarious that all those people hid in their chambers and hid everywhere because of what they caused. The precedent that they set themselves, they were now hiding from the problem that they created. And like I said, I'm not supporting that it's right to break into the Capitol. I'm not supporting that violence is right. But what I am saying is when you as politicians support the violence and then another group comes in and inflicts it on you, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't feel bad for you. You created this problem yourself. You created this monster. You did this. You made your bed, lie in it. Because like I said, they don't care about us. When it happens to us, they don't care. They only care when it happens to them. And that's why protests, that's why these things, that's why voting matters, guys, because voting, all those things, that's how we hurt politicians. Protests, voting, when it happens to them, they listen. You have to push their buttons in order to get things accomplished. Now, the second half of this that I want to talk about, because that's the main point that I wanted to cover, guys, was the fact that it was just funny that all these politicians, especially the people like Nancy Pelosi and all the far left people, they all support the riots and the burning and everybody's right to protest and do their own thing. That's not a protest. That's domestic terrorism. You go into a city, you start throwing Molotov cocktails through business windows and burning them to the ground and destroying private property. That's domestic terrorism. And you're a criminal and you should be in jail. And to do that to anybody's business is not right. And that's what I want to talk about as the main point, guys, was that they supported that. And those people that supported it now are taking the exact stance that all of us took with those riots. Because I didn't care about being on the right side of politics. I said from the beginning, it's domestic terrorism and it's bullshit. And it should never happen. Because it's not about the point. It's not about what Black Lives Matter supposedly stands for, which that could be a whole separate video about how Black Lives Matter is not police brutality and it doesn't stand for a lot of things that people think that it stands for, especially when a majority of the Black Lives Matter are college white kids. Like, we could get, that's a whole separate video we can get into. But the point is, I didn't care about being on the right side of politics. I'm like, what you're protesting for is irrelevant. What is relevant is the fact that you're not actually protesting. You're acting like criminals. And not only is that a terrible plan to actually accomplish something, but like I said, you're a criminal. And if you're a criminal, you should go to jail. I don't care if you're being a criminal for a good cause. You're still being a criminal. Do it legally. So, let's continue to get into this here. The back half of what I want to talk about here is the facts that are skewed. Because a lot of people are talking about the fact that it's Trump supporters and it's this and it's that. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there was no Trump supporters who participated in breaking into the Capitol. But as I've told you guys in other videos before, I do sales. All right. Like as a sales guy, I basically, it's like having a major in psychology. You have to understand human psychology and how things work if you're going to be effective in sales. Like I've studied psychology for years to become better in sales. So I know what people think, how they think it, why they think it, and how to manipulate it. Okay. It's what I do. So when we look at this, the fact is there's a big thing that comes into play here when we want to talk about who was actually doing it and the people who actually broke in. And it's something called the herd mentality, the sheep mentality, which is what most people have. I hate to break the news to you. Most of you watching this video, like I said, it's not a shot at anybody directly. This is just basic psychology. Most of you in this video are submissive people. Most of the people watching this are submissive. And the reason I say that is I have a basic thing with people is if you tell people to do something, they'll do it. 90% of people, and I know this, like I said, from sales, 90% of people that you tell to do something will do it. When I first got into sales, I did like retail, like event marketing. So we'd set up booths, tents, whatever at like events, and we just cold pull people to the booth. And it was a psychological tool called the turn and burn. We sit there, hey, how are we doing today, guys? We'd physically tell them to stop with our body language. Hey, how are we doing? Quick question for you. Tell them to stop. They'd stop every time. Oh, who do you guys have for TV and internet? We did like AT&T stuff. Who do you guys have for TV and internet? Oh, Comcast? Perfect. Let me show you what we're doing. We turn around, walk away. Let me show you what we're doing. Break eye contact, gone. Walk away from them. The fact that I said, come here with my hand and broke that line of communication and walked away was me telling them without them knowing I'm basically ordering them to come back to the table. And the fact that I told them that, and they just walk over to the table. Well, what are you guys doing? They just follow me back over there every time because it's a psychological concept. It plays into the fact that people can't physically like understand in their head. It like flips a switch in their head. If you're not making eye contact, you're not looking at somebody, people feel like you can't hear them. If I'm talking to you and you're not looking at me, I feel like you can't hear what I'm saying. That's what people are always like, hey, yo, I'm talking to you. And you can be sitting there completely hearing what they're saying, but they feel like you're not listening unless you're looking at them. So it's the same thing. They feel like when I turn away and walk away, They can't be like, hey, no, I'm good, man, and just walk away, because they feel like I can't hear them. They feel like they can't communicate with me unless they come back to the table, look me in the face, and say, no, I'm not interested. But it's also the sheep mentality. It's the fact that I walked away. They have that pressure of, well, he told me to do it, so they're going to do it. But it's a secondary concept, which is what we're going to talk about here, of the sheep mentality. People get bolder in a group. People get bolder in a mob. People get bolder in a riot. And when I walk away, I did it, so people are submissive. They're copiers. They just follow me because, well, he did it, so I'm going to do it. So when I walk away, they walk away with me just because, well, if he did it, I did it. And when one person attacks the police in a riot, everybody else attacks the police in a riot because they're sheep. They just follow. They go with the flow. The one or two or three dominant people or assertive people in the crowd do something like, we're going to attack the police and break in, and everybody else goes, and they just follow them because it's a herd mentality. It's a sheep mentality. Now, the reason that we're talking about this and why it's important is one simple fact that's being skewed with this. This started as a peaceful protest outside of the Capitol building, trying to demand that the Electoral College not vote until a full-fledged federal-like investigation from the FBI was done on the election, which it should be, because once again, talking about precedents, if over half the country doesn't believe that the election was totally legit, and there's varying levels, people think it's totally fake, kind of fake, there's varying levels, but when you set the precedent of no matter what type of evidence we have, we're never going to touch an election just because it's too hot of a topic to touch. When you set that precedent, people are going to quit voting. People are never going to believe the election's fair. We already have so many, especially young kids, that are like, oh man, election's rigged, my vote doesn't matter. Like, that's been a topic for years. And now all of a sudden you think that now the people that even are currently voting are saying, I want to know my vote counts. I want to know that this is legit. Everybody's like, well. And even people doing the investigation, I mean, yeah, we found fraud, but like I said before, guys, if you don't think there's fraud in every election, get real. You say, but it's not enough to really matter. These people outside didn't want that precedent to be set. Obviously, they prefer a certain candidate over the other. I mean, that's just basic. But they didn't want the precedent to be set of, hey, we're just going to jam somebody through with a bunch of questions and red flags and things surrounding the election. We're just going to jam through a candidate because everybody's terrified to touch. Well, God, if we actually do find something and we have to overturn this, oh my God, what's going to happen? Nobody wants to touch it. That's a bad precedent to set. You can't be scared of doing what's right just because of what happens. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do what's right, this is what happens. You're too scared to touch Black Lives Matter and all that stuff because of the agenda behind it. You're too scared to touch that. So then all of a sudden the violence shows up on your front door because you set the precedent that that's okay. Well, here's the thing, guys. The reason that this psychology and things that we talked about before is important is the fact that the people that were actually arrested and people who were caught on camera inside the Capitol building were not Trump supporters. They were Antifa members and Democrats that understood the psychology of, hey, if we go in here and we spark this, it's going to explode. The Democrats went in, and these Antifa and these leftists and these socialists who don't support what they're there for go in and spark it to make everybody on the other side of the table look bad, to try to prove, oh, we're all terrorists, we're the bad people, we're the crazy people out here. There's a very, very, very popular photo going around because this guy, like his costume, it was just, I mean, his costume was fantastic. I'll give him that. And he was just on the news so much because he was so easy to pick out of the crowd. You could see him in like every photo. Well, this guy, he had like this red, white, blue like face paint and a bison hat on. Okay. So for you guys to know exactly what I'm talking, he had like a bison hat on, I think maybe a cape, but he was all decked out in like just Davy Crockett, like old school pioneer wardrobe, like half Indian, half Davy Crockett, like red, white, and blue face paint. You guys know what I'm talking about. Just look, just bison hat, face paint. You'll instantly know him. He's the only one who looks even remotely like that in the crowd. All right. He was one of the people who actually broke into the building. You know who he is? I believe it's Nancy Pelosi's niece's husband. Now I could have the family connection wrong, but if I remember correctly, I don't even think it's that. I think it's Nancy Pelosi's daughter's husband. I think it's her actual son-in-law. I'm pretty positive it's her son-in-law. So Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law breaks into the Capitol building. They blame it on Trump supporters. That's what I'm talking about. The facts of this are very important. And that's why we talked about psychology a second ago, because the psychology of this is very important. He understands the psychology of, if I start acting like this is a riot, if I and a couple of my buddies who are here with me, if we start to push the police, everybody else will maintain the herd mentality and push the police. Now, once again, a clear preface of this and precedent that I'm going to set is, regardless of that, you shouldn't do this. And the people who did it because they're sheep or the herd mentality and they're following it in shouldn't have done that. But the fact is, they set them up. It's like leaving $100,000 on the ground with a cop around the corner, waiting for somebody to take it and be like, "You're under arrest for theft." You set me up. Should I have taken the money? No. But you set me up. How many people are going to walk by $100,000 in cash on the street and not be like? Pretty much nobody. Now, there's some goody two-shoes out there who I'm sure will, but no, I wouldn't. I'd look around twice and be like, well, I'm just going to take this home. You can call me a shitty person, but it's a lot of money to pass up. And that's what they understood, guys, was they understood it's a setup. If we do this, we can take these people who are already angry, they're mad, they're out there for hours chanting, they're cold, they're upset, and they're on the verge of breaking, and they're pissed off. And he said, as long as we create the spark, the fuse will ignite itself. And that's the key to all of this happening, guys, is you took people who lit a spark, they lit a match in a room filled with gasoline, and the gasoline gets blamed for the result. If you didn't want the gasoline to burn the house down, you shouldn't have lit the match. The point is, it wasn't an accidental fire, is what is the metaphor we're trying to use here. What we're trying to say is it was an arson. They sent an arsonist in with a match in a house drenched in gasoline, and he lit the fuse. And in this case, multiple people went in and lit the fuse to blow the house up and light it on fire. That house can get soaked in gasoline all you want, and it's ready to ignite. And that riot and that protest was ready to ignite. But if they weren't there lighting the match, the house would have never burned down. You guys understand the metaphor? You guys get what I'm saying here? I can drench something in gasoline. Unless I light a match, it's not going to blow up. And that's the point here, guys. You got Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law as one of the first people through the doors. And you guys don't think that that's a setup? You guys don't think that a bunch of leftists intentionally lit that match and tried to blow this up? Let's get real, guys. Let's really get real here. Like I said, I don't support what happened. I don't support what happened on the other side. With the Black Lives Matter riots, I don't support either one of them. I think they're both childish, stupid, insane, illegal, criminal. But let's not lose the fact that they knew the psychology and they knew how people are, and especially in a high pressure crowd environment, they know what's going to happen. And they exploited it and they used it to their own benefit. Now, the last part of this that I want to talk about, which is the political culture that we've created in this society. And the reason I want to talk about this is for one reason and one reason only. I don't want to get into the Ashli Babbit shooting. All right. She was unarmed, and that's, like I said, a whole nother video about how police brutality is a problem for everybody. But I don't want to get into it because she was shot inside the Capitol building. She should have never been inside in the first place. So I don't want to get too much into the fact that she was shot by police. All right. I don't want to get too much into that because I'm a firm believer in all cases, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. Do what the police say, comply, and you won't be shot. But as I don't want to dive too much into the actual circumstances of her shooting, what I do want to dive into is the fact of our political culture. This woman is a military hero, basically. She's a certified Navy communications officer, and I'm going to look at my notes on her real quick because I looked up exactly what she did in the military so I don't mess this up. She's a 14-year veteran who served 4 tours with the U.S. Air Force. Served 4 tours with the U.S. Air Force, was a high-level security official throughout her time served. So she goes there, she's unarmed. And the fact is, this woman, she's a military hero. Like, she's an American hero. Like I said, that doesn't mean that her actions by falling into the herd or the sheep mentality and going inside the Capitol building are justified, but it does mean that she's a military hero. And the problem with our political culture and what's scary is the fact of when this happened, I saw comments on social media and like chats on boards and other things. And what people talked about was the fact of just for one reason, just because she was a Republican, just because she supported Trump, you have a bunch of people talking about, I'm glad she's dead. She deserves to die. Any Trump supporter deserves to die. Do you guys understand how terrifying our political culture has become? How terrifying our political landscape has become? Was literally people on one side believe that people on the other side should die or should be murdered just because they believe something different than them. We don't have any open dialogue in this country anymore. We don't have any open debate. We don't have any civil politics. And I don't care what anybody says. And you guys can destroy me if you want. And this isn't a blanket statement. All right. I'm not blaming everyone for this. But what I am saying is this is a problem that stems from the extreme left. You will rarely, if ever, hear anybody who's conservative talk about people deserve to die, people should be killed, people should be just be put on a cross for their beliefs. You don't hear that from the right. You just don't. And if you guys can find quotes about it, I'd love to hear it, but you just don't. The fact is, this stems from the left, and everybody who I saw these comments from, profile pictures or Biden-Harris banners, and they're all leftists, and they're all Bernie Sanders and socialist and communist supporters. We have a real problem, guys. We have a real problem. fact that we can't look at one another and say, huh, I don't agree with them, but I would just hope they'd educate themselves more. I would just hope that they would be open to taking a new view on their opinion. The fact that we can't sit there and just say, hey, well, why do you believe this? Well, haven't you heard about this or haven't you heard about that? Well, if that happens, you know this happens, so why would you think that? The fact that we can't have civil debates like that or just be able to say, hey, love you as a person, man, but let's agree to disagree. The fact that we can't be civil with one another anymore. I have friends who are Democrats. I've had debates and conversations with people that are Democrat. I don't hate them as people. I don't wish harm to them. I'm just like, hey, man, I don't agree with your viewpoint. I think it's a little surface. I think you're forgetting a lot of other factors that go into it. I don't think you really truly understand the issue. But hey, man, just continue to educate yourself. You believe something different than me, that's fine. Just as long as you're educating yourself, just as long as you're actually understanding what you believe and why you believe it. The fact that we can't do that anymore is a problem, guys. It's a terrifying problem. It's a terrifying time to be alive. I mean, you have a lot of people who they don't even want to touch politics. They're terrified of politics because of these reactions and the things that happen. It's scary. Like I said, I didn't want to get too much into her shooting, but what I wanted to talk about with her was just the simple fact of the fact that you sit there and go, she should be murdered or she deserves to die, not because of what she did, but because she supports another candidate than me. The fact that a military hero deserves to die because I don't agree with her view on politics, another human being should die over politics? It's a terrifying world, guys. It's a bad place. We have to change this. We have to create a new landscape. We don't have to all agree. We don't have to all be on the same page, but we have to respect each other as human beings. Because that's what doesn't make sense. Is we pretend like we're this society of equality, we're this society of social justice, we're this society of understanding, and it's all bullshit. Oh, we understand we're a society for social justice. We stick up for minorities and police brutality. We support gays and lesbians and the LGBTQZ. They got too many letters, I can't remember them all, community. We support everybody. Love everyone equal is what we're told. That's the society that we're supposed to be raised in, is everybody deserves to be treated equally. They deserve to be treated fairly, and we all should love one another. And it's all fake. And it's all bullshit. Because as soon we want to respect people as people, we can't even respect people over politics. We can't even respect people on varying opinions on a candidate. As soon as we pick a different candidate from one another, all of a sudden, all that social justice, all that social equality, all flies out the window, and we're all rampant murderers of, oh, you support Biden? I'm going to kill you. Oh, you support Trump? You deserve to die. Funny how all that just flies out the window. Social justice, social equality. Love everybody. Everybody's a human being. Love everyone. Oh, you like a different candidate than me. You deserve to die. Funny how quick that disappears, right? Funny. It's unbelievable, guys. It really is. It's really unbelievable, the stuff that we will do as people and the hypocrites we will be. Because all those people who are chanting Black Lives Matter, equality for everyone, equality for LGBTQ, equality for Black Lives Matter, equality for minorities, equality for illegal immigrants, equality for people who believe this and that and everything under the sun. And we got people preaching equality for pedophiles, guys. It was a whole nother video. Equality for everyone. Everybody's awesome to everyone now. Unless you disagree on politics, then you deserve to die. And all those people preaching equality, which, once again, guys, I'm sorry to point it out there, everybody preaching this equality, most of it is on the left. Not saying that as conservatives, they said, you guys know I'm independent. I lean conservative. I'm independent. You guys know all those people preaching, all those Black Lives Matter, those LGBTQ people out there, everybody preaching equality. They're the very people that are on those message boards saying, hey, you deserve to die if you're a conservative. You deserve to die if you believe in a different candidate than me. What happened to equality? It's funny how quick all those people turn into hypocrites, because as people, which is our overall point in this entire video, guys, as people, we're all exactly the same as those cowardly senators and representatives in that building. We're all exactly the same. We all preach the right thing when it doesn't affect us, when it doesn't involve us, and when it involves us, affects us. We all are hypocrites. We all flip-flop. We all preach equality. We all preach equal rights. But as soon as we disagree with anything, or as soon as we don't like what somebody has to say, as soon as somebody offends us or threatens us, for them, they were threatened physically. They thought, oh, these people could break in and hurt us. Funny how quick their stance on the protest changed. Went from protest, damage to private property to protest. Now all of a sudden it's domestic terrorism. Funny how quick that changes. Sometimes, like what we're talking about here, we're threatened ideologically, or we're threatened emotionally. And somebody says, equality, equality, equality. Oh, well, they don't believe the same thing as me. The fact that they don't believe the same thing as me, that threatens me, that triggers me. And instantly I become a hypocrite. Instantly. I change my entire view, and now all of a sudden it's not equality. Now all of a sudden, not only is it not equality, I become a serial killer. Kill them all. Give me a gun, I'll do it. The same people who also don't believe we should own guns. Saying, fun fact. Scary, guys. It's a scary world. It's a scary society we're living in. And we got to fix it. We got to change it, because it's not okay. We can't continue to do this. And I hope that you guys take this and you don't try to misconstrue it. You don't try to change the topic and try to turn this all about supporting Black Lives Matter, supporting the riot at the Capitol, or Trump and Biden. That's not what this is about, guys. It's about us all supporting each other and being able to conversate and live cohesively as people again. That's what this is about. So don't twist the message. Because I'll tell you guys right now, you guys have seen it on their videos. You try to blast me in the comments on something, and it's not even the point of this video. Like, you guys are going to try to blast me on my opinions on Black Lives Matter or anything else. I'm going to fire right back at you and say, you missed the entire point of the video. You literally sound ignorant, because that's not what we're talking about. You want my opinions? Hey, ask me for a video. I'll do all my opinions on things. Like I said, raw takes, no apologies. I don't care. I'll put my viewpoints out there. Not afraid of my viewpoints, because I believe in open dialogue. I believe in open conversation. I believe in healthy debate between people. That's how you grow in intelligence. That's how you grow as a person. And that's what this is about, is we're becoming dumber as a society because we lock out everything that doesn't completely make us feel safe, make us feel comfortable. If we disagree at all, we lock it out, we block it out, we don't want to talk about it. Well, that's why we were becoming ignorant as a society. That's why we're becoming hateful, divisive. And that has to change. We can't love one another. Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I'm Christian. I was taught to love my neighbor as myself. If we can't do that as a country, we're never going to make it. Maybe that's some of the problems. Another video, but that maybe that's some of the problems. We're taking Christianity, we're taking religion in general. It doesn't matter what religion you are. We're taking religion in general out of schools, out of kids growing up. They're not raised with morals anymore. They're not raised with integrity. They're not raised to treat their neighbor like they are themselves, because God forbid, the Bible said that. We don't want to teach them nothing from the Bible. Maybe that's the problem with our society today. We're not teaching kids to be good. It's the worst thing. Somebody quotes a Christian, whatever. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Oh God, they're not going to kill people and they're going to love their neighbor like themselves and be a good person. It's the worst that can happen. God, we have a whole society of good people. If we promote Christianity, wow, what terrible. I don't know, guys. I don't know. And once again, don't twist the freaking video. This isn't Christianity's better than everybody else. Yes, I'm Christian. I believe in Christianity. That's not what this video is about. It's the fact of, if you know anything about Christianity, it's all about loving your neighbor. It's all about living together cohesively, sharing your religion, sharing everything together, being peaceful. Christianity is peaceful. The point of this video is, what's the worst that can happen if we talk about Christianity, or we put that back into society like it used to be in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. What's the worst that can happen? That a peaceful religion teaches us how to be peaceful and respect each other again? That's the point. What's the worst that can happen? We respect each other again? It's not about one religion over the other. So once again, don't twist the viewpoint. Don't twist what I'm saying. But that's the point, guys. So, with that being said, thanks for stopping by, guys. Like, share, subscribe. Like I said, as always, I'm your host, Austin Froberg. Thanks for stopping by, guys. We'll catch you again real soon. Like, subscribe, share, so we continue to make videos. We want to make those live videos happen really soon, so please share. Tell your neighbor, tell a friend, tell your cousin, your mom, your grandma. Let's get more people and subscribers on the channel so we can do those live videos really soon. I'm excited to talk to you guys. Thanks for stopping by. As always, peace. Deuces.